Hi, my name's Doug Marshall. I am the Chief Experience Officer of sPlan5, and I have been asked by some of the financial advisors that I work with to talk a little bit about a new underwriting program that's offered from one of my partner life insurance carriers and how this might be able to make the life insurance underwriting process easier for the consumer and for the financial advisor. So I wanted to take you through a quasi-case study as it has worked for me and give you some of the rationale behind how I put this program together and then created some of the different parts to allow for greater flexibility. So without further ado, let me get started here. And if you have any interest in talking to me, I will also have my email and phone listed at the end of this presentation as well. So my company sPlan5 works with a life insurance carrier who has the name of Penn Mutual. And Penn Mutual has developed an accelerated client experience, including a more streamlined way of doing underwriting. And I wanted to describe how I use this process and then how I use it to be a launching pad for even utilizing other life insurance carriers' products and the reason for why. So this is just taking you through a process. So if I'm working with a financial advisor or directly with a client, the first thing that I will do is go to the first box and then with the client and the advisors determine the appropriate amount of life insurance coverage to be put in force. Now, since Penn Mutual is offering an electronic application submission process, this makes it a lot easier because everything can be done online. It's not 40 pages of paper, which is the traditional underwriting process. And if you are between 20 and 65 and planning to individually own the insurance coverage, you can get up to potentially $2.5 million of life insurance coverage without having to undergo a physical exam. You're still going to need to answer questions, but you're not going to have to get that exam because we're going to pull that information from other parts. There is the potential that ultimately you will have to go through the normal underwriting process, but this is a good place to start. So if you are pretty healthy, this might work out pretty well for you. And in many instances, we've seen policies delivered within a 5-day period of time, which is really unheard of in the life insurance business because of all of the underwriting that has to happen. So the first step, which is the second box, is that the advisor or myself will work with the insured to get a link to go on and fill out information about themselves. It should take about 30 to 45 minutes if you're prepared to put all of the information in the system, and hopefully it's going to take less time than that. And then what we're going to do is we are going to apply for a term product from Penn Mutual, and there's a reason for this. The reason is that we do not want people to be delayed in the amount of time that it takes for them to decide exactly what the product is that they want to use. And the reason for doing this with Penn Mutual is not only because of the streamlined underwriting process, which is done online, it's also because Penn Mutual is a quality mutual company with a wide variety of various permanent products, if that's what the insured or the client or the financial advisor advises. But the first thing you want to do is make sure that you are eligible for that coverage. So we go through and finalize the electronic application for a Penn Mutual Term 20. Once that policy is approved and the first premium is paid, which means that the coverage is in place, we then can make the decision in a reasonable amount of time about how much of that coverage to convert. So let's say that you go and get $1 million of life insurance coverage, and maybe it makes sense to have $250,000 of that be permanent. We could then take that $1 million, convert it to $250,000 of permanent coverage, whether it's an indexed universal life, a regular universal life, a whole life policy, and then leave the balance, the $750,000, in the form of term insurance so that the proper coverage is in place. And once we do that, then there's another question to be answered. If a long-term care rider is needed, which is not available through the Penn product, we can then go through the process of looking at some other insurance carriers to go through a more formal process to get a life insurance policy with a long-term care contract. And the reason that the long-term care contracts or riders are getting more and more popular is because of the expense of regular or more traditional long-term care insurance. So it may make sense at least to make sure that some long-term care aspects of the future protection that somebody might need is taken care of. So this is a process that is initially started to make it very easy to first acquire the insurance without a lot of invasive process. That's the point behind all of this. I think you'll find it to be relatively easy. Keep in mind that something might occur where it does require that you go through the more formal underwriting process. So we have to be prepared for that. But in many cases, we're going to be able to circumvent that. So once again, here is my contact information, J. Doug Marr at sPlan5, and my phone number is 206-605-4695. Have a great day, and thank you for listening. Let me know if you have any questions.